Hello everyone, my name is Nurdalia Misara binti Mazlan from class PA1115H, and today I will be presenting my video assignment on an important issue in international business, which is the US-China trade war. This issue is very relevant because it involves two of the world's largest economies, and it has affected global trade, businesses, and consumers around the world. In this video, I will explain what the issue is about, relate it to our textbook, summarize the story, discuss the main factors, explain the effect on international business, give recommendation, and end it with a conclusion. So, what is the US-China trade war about? The US-China trade war is an economic conflict between the United States and China that started in 2018. It mainly involved tariffs, which are taxes placed on imported goods. The United States increased tariff on Chinese products to make them more expensive, while China responded by placing its own tariff on American goods. At first, the conflict focused on trade imbalance, but later it expanded into technology, manufacturing, and national security issues. Even today, although there are negotiations, the conflict has not fully ended. The US China trade war relates to Chapter 4 in the Scheme of Work on International Trade and Investment by showing how government trade policies can disrupt global trade flows and investment decisions. The conflict affected the world economy, challenged the benefits of free trade and specialization, and forced multinational firms to adjust their production and investment strategies. Increased uncertainty and trade restriction also reduced foreign direct investment and pushed firms to relocate to other countries, highlighting the close link between international trade and investment. The trade war began when the United States imposed tariff of 10% to 25% on a wide range of Chinese goods. These goods included electronics, smartphones, computers, machinery, steel, aluminum, furniture, clothing, and toys. The goal was to reduce US dependence on Chinese imports and protect American industries. In response, China imposed tariffs on US goods such as soybeans, corn, wheat, cars, aircraft parts, and agriculture products. This back and forth action increased costs for companies and consumers in both countries and created uncertainty in global markets. There are several important factors behind the US China trade war. First, the United States had a large trade deficit with China, meaning it imported much more from China than it exported. Second, the US accused China of intellectual property theft and forcing foreign companies to share technology. Third, competition in advanced technology such as semiconductors, 5G, and artificial intelligence increased tension. Finally, political pressure and national security concerns push both governments to take a tougher stance, making compromise more difficult. The trade war has had a strong impact on international business. One major effect is higher costs. Because tariffs make important goods more expensive for companies and consumers, another effect is supply chain disruption. As many multinational companies move production out of China to countries like Vietnam, India, and Mexico to avoid tariff. This situation also created uncertainty, making companies delay investment or change long term strategies. In addition, the conflict caused technology separation, where US and Chinese companies began using different technologies and standards, making global business more complex. To deal with the challenges caused by the US China trade war, several recommendations can be made. Businesses should diversify their supply chains instead of relying on one country. They should also stay updated on trade policies and invest in innovation to remain competitive. Governments should strengthen international cooperation and use negotiation instead of retaliation. Working through international organizations can help reduce trade conflicts and create a more stable business environment. In conclusion, the US China trade war is not just about tariff, but about long term economy and strategic competition. It clearly shows how national trade policies, as discussed in international business and managerial perspective, can affect global markets and business decisions. Although the conflict has not completely ended, it has taught important lessons about the need for flexibility, cooperation, and smart decision making in international business. That's all for me. Thank you for watching.